This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is an atrocious day here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty out there.
It's
cold and windy. And,
ugly fall-type day, raining all day. Of course, the Steelers had to move their practice indoors because of that on this Thursday leading up to Ravens week, and Ravens game, I should say. And, we got some injury stuff to dig into here, Matt.
We think the weather on Sunday is going to be much better than this, right?
Supposed to be
60-ish,
it's supposed to be in the 60s. And
nice.
Okay. But, not so much today. Kyle Hamilton back on the practice field today for the Ravens.
That's big news.
Kyle Van Noy as well, both Kyles.
Didn't put Kyle and Kyle together.
Are they
two of the most important players, though, on defense?
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
We'll see, again, being back on the playing field, the Ravens are one of those teams that don't let reporters watch practice. Most teams don't.
Right. Steelers are real good about that.
You're to say, well, he was on the field in the media portion of practice. That doesn't mean he did anything.
It just means he stepped on the field.
Yeah,
but
so we'll see.
Yeah, I was shocked he was in the mix.
For the Steelers.
What's Van Noy's injury?
He was ill yesterday.
Okay. So,
yeah. Steelers had some guys that did not participate today and some that came back. Not participating today was limited participant today was Van Jefferson with a quadricep issue. He didn't practice yesterday, so that's actually trending in the right direction. Okay. C.J. Henderson with a neck. He's been
inactive anyway.
Really doesn't play, yeah. Najee Harris was a full participant today after not practicing yesterday with that ankle issue. Jaylen Warren with a back issue did not practice today.
Is that new?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking this is not more than Najee, but I think it's a Warren game, in the passing game.
Dante Jackson with the hamstring issue was a limited participant today after not practicing yesterday, so he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Nick Herbig, a full participant for the second consecutive day.
It sounds like he's out of the woods.
Yeah. Of course, Alex Highsmith is not going to play in this one. Isaac Seumalo was back today after the day of rest. Michael Pruitt was resting today. He did not practice. And Cam Hayward was getting the Veterans Day of rest.
Okay. So it sounds like Warren is the news in terms of things that were unexpected or we really need to comment on. Highsmith we knew. Herbig, we had a strong trend, that he was going to play. Van Jefferson, I guess, is the other one. That's probably going to be listed as questionable or game time decision or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
No, not at all. So both teams at reasonably full strength other than Highsmith.
Considering it's the middle of November.
Yeah.
All in all, neither one of these teams is all that banged up.
Yeah. Now, the Ravens are already without Pierce.
That's big for them.
That's a bit.
He's a huge
big no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. They gave him money recently too.
But he's their main run stuffer in the middle of that defense. Matabuke's good, but he's more of a pass rusher.
Yeah, he's a three technique type.
Yeah,
right.
Whereas Michael Pierce is a 350-pound rock you got to move out of the middle of them.
They've had those guys since Ray Lewis. Sam Adams and Saragusa, the don't do anything against the pass, space eater, monster human being. I like Jones, though, the UConn kid. I mean, he's not quite that. He's more nose than – he's closer to that than he is to Matabuke. But he does give you a little bit of pass rush, but he's got a lot of size to him, too. I remember we liked him coming out of the draft. Would have been a good Steeler, but in typical fashion, both teams liked him,
Yeah. So, Matt, if we were ranking the units,
okay,
and let's include special teams.
Okay. Are we going to weight them the same?
We're just going to rank them
we're going to rank the 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would be number 1?
Ravens offense.
Okay.
That would be number 1 in the NFL for me.
Okay. But the number 6 in that group would be the Ravens defense.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there a team in the league that has that big of a difference between what the offense is and what the defense? They can't.
They can't. I mean, it's not the worst defense in the league.
Right.
But it's one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and thus people don't run against them. So if you're really, really bad at one, and there's definitely not a unit in the league that is that big of a run-pass discrepancy. That's absolutely for sure, because it's one of the best in the league, in terms of run defense. Like, the explosive play thing blows me away.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's insane because they're third best defensively in allowing rushing defensive plays. But they're such a distant 32nd in pass defense explosives that they're 32nd overall. I mean,
right.
like, that drags down the third-ranked run unit
and that's
much.
always kind of been the case, even for teams that have really good run defenses, because there's so much more passing. And
Yeah, I mean, of course.
you could give up 70 rushing yards per game, but if you give up 230 passing yards, you're still giving up 300 yards a game.
Still move the ball 300 yards around the field. No question. All right, well, let's rank
But
the
in this
middle
instance,
four.
they give up 70 rushing yards and 300 passing yards per game.
Yeah. I mean, that needs fixed. I mean, I'm sure Harbaugh's losing his marbles over that.
Well, and
no one's going to choose to run.
The other thing that I'm sure Harbaugh is losing his marbles over is the fact that the Ravens are the most penalized team in the league.
Yeah.
By far.
We did that video today with Rob King, and I really meant to mention it, and I forgot that penalties, turnover differential, special teams, in a game that's always 3 points or less, all three greatly favor the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, greatly. I mean, at least that doesn't mean those 60 minutes will go that way, but all evidence shows that the Steelers have the edge in those three categories, all the hidden yardage type stuff.
Okay, so what's the second best unit in this game?
How about let's go work from the bottom up.
Okay.
I would go
number
Ravens
5?
D is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens special teams is 5.
Okay.
Now, we haven't mentioned the Steelers yet.
We haven't.
So that means they're 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
I think special teams would be 2.
Okay.
Like, I'd rather be better on offense than special teams, but I think it's the best special teams in the league, and I don't think it's the best defense or best offense in the league. And I guess the defense is still better than the offense.
Okay. But that gap is closed.
Absolutely.
In recent weeks, which is why when you look at this game, and I said this earlier in the week, and people may have raised an eyebrow, I'm like, the Steelers are the most complete team in the AFC North.
Oh, yeah.
It might be one of the most complete teams in the AFC.
Period. I mean, like, if we would really start doing that, now I don't know all these teams' special teams ranks, don't get me wrong, but Buffalo, I think, is a well-balanced team.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell Kansas City's offense short. I mean, I know the numbers aren't great, but they still pat Mahomes and Kelsey and Hopkins.
Right.
And, they'll be fine.
And the defense is good.
Yeah, I say they're well-rounded, too. I don't know if either one of those teams are discrepant on, is that a word? Yeah, on special teams. Lions are well-rounded. I think the Packers are, but their defense doesn't blow me away. Eagles are getting more and more well-rounded. The defense is starting to really shape up in a big way. I'm excited to watch them tonight. But I think that's kind of it. The Niners on their best day, but we haven't quite seen that version of them yet. It's pretty well-rounded, but Baltimore isn't. Cincy isn't. Cleveland isn't, for sure, in the division. And I'm not sure I can go Houston. With their O-line, and I would say they're above average on both phases.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's an interesting dynamic going into a game like this.
Yeah.
Because these Ravens are really closer to what the Bengals have been in recent seasons.
Very much so. I know where you're going.
Where they're just all offense.
Yeah.
It's all offense.
It's the quarterback and everything,
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately for Cincy, is still the case.
Yeah.
They keep investing in their defense. And
they've had some years where the defense was, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore's defense isn't even really okay right now.
No. Because, again, you're not going to run.
Yeah.
I was going to look up DVOA real quick and just who are the top, or if any of those special teams are horrible, but I'm not going to.
I looked it up earlier in the week. They are.
Which one?
They're all, every other team in a division.
Oh, I was thinking about those other teams. The contenders,
those teams.
The Buffaloes,
I see what
and
you're
those
saying.
of the world. I just haven't studied them as much. Yeah, but that defense would make me crazy, and the penalties would make me crazy.
If the Steelers can win this game on Sunday, everybody looks at the offense, Baltimore's offense. Baltimore's offense is great.
It's really good, yeah.
But if the Steelers have a path to win in this game, and they do, it's going out there and taking advantage of that defense. When Cleveland beat the Ravens a couple of weeks ago, I think the Ravens had the ball 11 minutes in the first half.
Okay, makes sense. I think that's true, too. It rings a bell when you said that. And I also think the penalty thing is huge. And,
Huge.
I mean, I was with Tom and Tim last night, and they were talking about
Name dropper.
Yeah, you should see how often they mention me. But they were talking about Dante Jackson blocking kicks, and I forget what exactly happened in that Washington game with him.
He got held.
He got held.
Big time.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was Tim Benz lost his mind. Like, it was one of the worst holds I've ever seen, and I'm like, oh, now I remember. And then he was saying, I guess he went back and watched all those kick blocks leading up to it, and they were getting closer and closer and closer. And he really thought on that one Jackson would have blocked it. And
yeah, he was clearly around the end.
Yeah, he had the corner, you know, and he's fast. And Tim mentioned to him, I guess, in the locker room, and he kind of downplays, like, well, maybe, but he kind of smiled at him. You know, that wasn't, you know, in the verbiage, but like, yeah, I would have got that. So just think about that. I mean, if they don't call that hold, or if they call the hold, that would have been huge. But if they, if it doesn't occur, they may have got another kick block too. I mean, if they get one of those in this game.
Funny you mentioned holds, because they got Clay Martin's crew working this game.
Yeah.
Clay Martin's crew has called 33 holding penalties this season.
I knew they were really high.
In 9 games. That's 1/3 of all their penalties.
Okay. I think that favors the Steelers.
I do too.
Offensive holds we're talking about here, folks.
Offensive hold, not defensive.
Yeah. Right. I think that always favors whoever has the best D-lines. And I think the Steelers are the best D-line in the league.
Yeah, because I don't know how the Ravens block T.J. Watt, and assuming if the Steelers are playing some nickel and things like that. Like, I don't know how they block on the right side of that line without holding.
Benton and Ogunjobi are going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Benton's pass rush has been
I would even
phenomenal
slide
lately.
Cam over there at times.
Yeah, maybe.
Just let him push the big guy into the quarterback.
Goof, right. But I think Cam will do fine against the left guard too, though.
Yeah.
The left guard's fine. I mean, but Falele's the worst of the 5.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I mean, especially with his insane size, if you're a little more likely to call, holds, he has so much space. I mean, it's like, is that a hold or not? Look how huge he is engulfing this 320-pound man. Maybe I'll throw it,
Yeah. So that's just an interesting little sidebar to this. I know, again, I know that the Ravens offense looks like it's, that's unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Teams have stopped it.
Yeah.
But they've stopped it by,
I mean, even that Bengals game, they started really slow. Real slow. I mean, then they blew up and scored touchdown every drive, basically.
Yeah.
But it was not on fire right out of the bat.
No.
And you definitely want to go into halftime with a lead or close to. Like, they're notorious under Harbaugh of, you come out in the second half and just pound.
Yeah.
And that was even before Henry.
Yeah, you just take Lamar. You want to get Lamar out of his comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Put him behind by a couple of scores.
Yeah, and hit him.
Yeah.
Hit him. I mean, he's a tough guy. He's hard to get hits on. He surprises me how strong he is for his build. I mean, I always call him wiry, but he still doesn't take that many hits. And not that he's not used to it or he can't handle it. I mean, he's not a wuss, but, I mean, he doesn't get hit very often. Make him play a little different, a little left-handed,
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think that, when you look at it through that lens of which units are the best, yes, Baltimore's their offense has been outstanding. The Steelers,
but they also have the worst too.
But they also have the worst too.
Yeah, I mean,
and does that balance
2, 3, and
out?
4,
Yeah.
Or would you rather have 1, 5 and 6?
Yeah. And that's kind of what we'll find out on Sunday.
But I mean, also these are 2 really good football teams. I mean, Unit 6 isn't Unit 90 out of the 96 either in the league. You know what I mean?
It might be.
Their pass defense might be.
Their pass defense, it might be.
I mean, as bad as just about anything going out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. But there are the Carolinas of the world and all. I mean, the junk.
I get it.
Don't get me wrong, but their pass defenses numbers are that bad.
They are atrociously bad. Like the kind of bad that keeps you from getting to a Super Bowl bad.
Oh, yeah. I think that's their anchor right now.
Yeah.
And, of course, you're in the playoffs, you're going to play tight games, as we expect this to be.
You're also going to see a lot of good quarterbacks.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
especially in this conference. But, I mean, if you're a heavy penalty-taking team, you're average on special teams, and you got a big weakness like that, it's tough to go to Arrowhead or Buffalo or Houston or Pittsburgh and string together wins.
Yeah.
Or host those teams.
I mean, some of what they've done this year, yes, they played the Chiefs in the opener, but they also played the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
They played the Bengals twice. I get it. They played Washington, Tampa Bay. But they also played Cleveland. They also played Denver.
Yeah.
And your numbers are still that bad.
They're still that bad, right? It's not like it's a who's who of quarterbacks. It was Jameis's first start. It was Nick's. It was,
Ironically, the one game where they played good pass and they just blitzed was against Buffalo. They held Buffalo to 155 passing yards.
I'd have to go back and watch.
But that was pre-Amari Cooper, and they really
were they running the ball more in that game?
They ran the ball really effectively. They had 271 rushing yards in that game.
Buffalo did.
No.
Oh, the
Ravens did. Yeah,
okay.
They just played keep away from the.
I was wondering, do the
Bills.
Bills go run heavier because they've gone a lot run heavier this year with a 6th offensive lineman and that kind of thing. Buffalo.
Well, let me ask you this: so we know that this Ravens team runs the ball really well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last 3 games, 124 against Cleveland, 127 against Denver, 99 last week against Cincinnati. Is that
one of them? Lamar only had like 3.
That was against Cleveland.
Okay.
Or no, that was against.
Was that 2 weeks ago?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was 2 games ago or a game ago. Not the Cincy game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good point. Is that group coming back to earth?
Yeah, because their numbers are skewed a little bit by the 274 they ran for against Dallas and 271 against Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're still averaging like 190.
Dallas is like the worst run defense in the league too.
But they've only they had 185 in the opener against Kansas City, but Lamar had 120 of that himself.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's 151 against the Raiders, 274, 271, 175 the first time against the Bengals, 176 against Washington, 244 against Tampa Bay, and then that 124, 127, and 99.
It'd be a little bit of a disturbing trend, but I'd have to study it. I mean, are they just not getting as much? But my hunch is, I'm sure there's a direct correlation, and this isn't genius math, but when Henry gets free for the 80-yarder or whatever is when those crazy numbers happen. Otherwise, it's good, not great. But still, that only counts as 7 points if he does break an 80-yarder.
But an 80-yarder still pumps up your.
It's a huge game-changing play, of course. But I bet the games that he's gotten free and run over secondaries or run away from secondaries and he hasn't the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
doesn't mean he hasn't been good, but he hasn't the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I are going to take a break. We'll be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, Matt, let's take a look at the offensive line rankings for the week here.
We haven't done that for a while.
Yeah, we take a look here and see who's
Is this
going up,
PFF
who's going down.
or?
This is according to PFF. At 32 are the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it's rough. It's hard to even name a guy on that line.
Michael Onwenu, and that's about it.
That's about it. It's pretty lean.
At 31, this is a little rough on them because I think part of their problem is the quarterback holding the ball too long. But the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and that's something that poor Caleb Williams, he was first overall pick. They're ruining him. Yeah, there's some truth to that. But one of the biggest knocks coming out of USC was holding the ball too long, and he is definitely doing that.
Yeah, he wants to play off script and do all this stuff, and it just doesn't work in the NFL.
It isn't for him.
No. At 30, down 3 spots, the Cincinnati Bengals.
It's crumbling quickly.
They're starting Cody Ford at left tackle, Cordell Volson at left guard, Ted Karras at center, Alex Kappa at right guard, and Marius Mims at right tackle.
Which has been basically their guys. Mims actually hasn't been bad. You'd think, boy, the right tackles must be a mess. It's all the dudes that were once average that you just kind of mentioned there that are starting to, they're not
quite
super
as good.
talented, and it's. I'm surprised it's that low, but it is not a great unit.
Yeah,
Who's your dominant player?
You can see it on Burrow's face.
Oh, you can see a lot on his face right now. He's not hiding much.
Burrow should be the MVP of the league.
In some ways, yes. I know
because
exactly
he is
what
doing way more with way less around him.
Yes, he has Jamar Chase, who's unbelievable.
That's all he's got.
But that's it. It's a two-man show there, 100%.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. He's playing as well, basically, as any quarterback, but with less.
Yeah, he's just getting the snot beat out of him week after week, and just, yeah. At 29, up a spot, Seattle.
They're problematic, to say the least, too.
Yeah.
And they throw the ball a ton.
At 28, up 3 spots, the Tennessee Titans.
Hasn't quite gone to plan. I mean, you knew that last year I thought it was the worst line in the league.
Yeah.
Which made analyzing Derrick Henry kind of
Well, the problem is the center got hurt.
And they invest in a center who looks like a good player. You knew Latham was going to take a little time, and I think he's been fine. Skoronski's all right, but the right side of the line is horrendous.
You'd like Skoronski to be better than all right, though, too.
Exactly.
I mean you draft a guard in the top 15 picks.
Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to break out and be one of the best guards in the league this year with Daddy coaching the O-line. But the right side of the line is worse than the Ravens. We talk about that right side. I mean, it's like the worst side out there.
At 27, the Raiders down 2 spots.
I don't have a problem with that either. Jackson Powers-Johnson looks like a keeper. Colton Miller's okay, but he might be declining as well. And then it's just kind of a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. At 26, down 2 spots, the Houston Texans.
It's been miserable this year. They have good players that aren't playing well. I think Tunsil's hurt. They don't pick up blitzes well. It seems to be getting a little bit better, but if Mixon's not the ball carrier, they don't run the ball at all.
He's had a really good year.
He's had a really good year.
Yeah.
And he gets, now when he's healthy, he gets every carry.
Yeah.
They're struggling.
At 25, up 4 spots, the Giants.
Might be kind. I mean, the state of their line with Al Thomas has been really bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
At 24, up 4 spots, the Saints.
I mean, they were as bad as anyone when the season started in terms of expectations. Ramchek's not in the mix anymore. So they've kind of held it together okay. I mean, it's still not – I mean, I'm not saying it's great, but I would have taken that spot on the rankings when the season started.
At 23, down 2 spots, the Cleveland Browns.
It's crumbling. The tackles, I think, are going to become a problem.
They got old.
They lost their line coach. I think the guards are getting old quick.
Yeah.
Batonio in particular. I've always thought the center was average and kind of a coach's creation, and it's okay now. But the thing is, like, how much can they fix it in the offseason? They're not going to have many resources to address other than quarterback stuff.
Right. Yeah. Put a rookie quarterback or whoever behind a bad offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Bad expensive offensive line, too.
Yeah.
That's the other part of the equation.
That's a good point, because I think, like, maybe Conklin, well, definitely Conklin, but probably one of the guards, you're going to have to get some cap relief. They could be gone. They could be worse next year.
At 22, down 3 spots, the Dallas Cowboys.
It's been a problem. There's been some rumblings that this might be Zach Martin's last year because he's good. He's not the best anymore.
Yeah.
The left guard, Smith, is really good. But you got a rookie center. Guyton's kind of finding his way to be kind,
At 21, down 3 spots, which is strange because they're getting everybody back. But the Rams.
Yeah, but they were bad.
They were bad against Miami.
They were really bad against. Maybe that's just rust, but they were really bad against Miami.
Yeah, I mean they got named dudes on that line.
They do, and a lot invested in it.
Yeah,
I mean a lot of those dudes are making serious money.
At 20, no change. The Vikings.
Yeah,
that's kind of who they are without Darisaw.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they might even be dropping. Not that the ones you mentioned around them are phenomenal, but. They were fortunate to be able to find a starting caliber left tackle. That doesn't happen much at the trade deadline, but he's not a great one.
Yeah.
He's okay, and the inside's already bad.
At 19, up 3 spots, Jacksonville.
I wouldn't be that nice to them.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
At 18, up 5 spots, the Steelers.
Okay. You hope it keeps trending that way. You finally look like you have your 5 starters. Knock on wood that you don't have to get shuffled up too much in the coming weeks. That you can play those 5, hopefully going forward. Let the young guys grow together. I think that's fair, though.
They list these guys. You're either blue or you're red. If you're in the blue, you're at least an average starter in the league.
Okay.
If you're in the red, you're below average starter. The only guy listed in red for the Steelers' offensive line is Broderick Jones, who's coming off of his best game.
Yeah, he had some promise. I thought that was, coming off the bye, did he change his view on his job, or did he realize something, him and the offensive line coach figured out? hey, your kick's sliding a little too much to the right, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Did they find a tweak there in those 2 weeks? I'm just kind of wishful thinking on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll find out a lot this week, I think.
Yeah.
At 17, the Chargers, no change.
I'd be higher on them than that. I think those tackles are great.
Yeah.
Slater in particular.
At 16, no change. The Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, you wouldn't know a lot of the names, but like Froholt, the center, is a really good player. Paris Johnson's turned into a guy. Other than Johnson, there hasn't been big investments, but they're like the one extra team too. They always grab one more than you think they need.
Well, that extra one this year is Kelvin Beachum, and he's now starting for them.
Yeah, and what a career he's had.
Oh my God!
I mean, he's not going to the Hall of Fame.
He's
or
like
anything
year
like
14,
that. Right? I think on the millions he's made as a 7th-round pick that was too short, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
lasted forever.
And you don't look at him as a right tackle.
No, you're right. We're right.
I mean, he doesn't look like a right tackle at all.
No.
At 15, down 6 spots. The Indianapolis Colts.
Has it been worse with Flacco?
Well, they're now starting
to pay more attention to it. I'm not sure why they'd go backwards.
They're now starting to pit kid Goncalves at left tackle.
Yeah. He's a year away.
Yeah, and they got Dalton Tucker now at right guard.
Okay,
and we already knew Bortolini was the center.
That's 3 backups.
Yeah,
that makes sense then. I mean, because the right tackle and Nelson are the only guys you got left. Smith.
I saw something at midseason. I can't remember where, that had the best rookie center was Tanner Bortolini in the league. You immediately just, all right, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, especially with as many good ones as there are.
Plus, he'd only started like 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
He was okay against Steelers, and I'm sure they're
happy
with him
they got him,
as a mid-pick, but he's not going to be a great one or anything.
No. At 14, down 2 spots, the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's held up better than expected. Armstead has played every game.
Shockingly enough.
I mean, that's
everybody around them has been hurt. But
Right. But no, that has not been the problem.
At 13, up 2 spots, the Falcons.
I would have them higher, especially as run blockers. I mean, I don't know how PFF grades are for them, but
I think they weight more towards pass blocking.
As they should. I mean, that's like what Brandon Thorne does.
Yeah.
And, but that's pretty good starting 5.
Well, you get Ryan Newsel at center.
Oh, yeah. The Stanford kid got hurt early in the year.
Yeah.
And I remember when we profiled them heavily, their depth was really bad.
Really bad. At 12, up 2 spots, the 49ers.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the fact that Pooney, they hit a home run in the mid-rounds with a guard, that goes a long way. Trent Williams is awesome. Scheme helps.
At 11, up 2 spots, the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the strength of the offense, but it's better than it looked coming into the year for sure. And their job's not as hard as everybody else.
It is not. I was going to say, they got a quarterback who has extreme escapability.
Yeah.
They're going to average 6 yards a carry just because.
Lamar's pocket presence has gotten way better, too, over the years. And they have so many weapons, and it is a good scheme. I never thought it would be that high when the season ended.
There are also times with these quarterbacks who run a lot of read option stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I talked about this last week, where they run a read option and then the quarterback gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage and they say, that's just a run stop.
Right.
He's more than capable of throwing the football in that situation. In fact, there are times when it looks like the quarterback's going to throw the football and then tries to sidestep to the last. Well, he was running there. No, he wasn't.
That might have to be like a new stat. Like a run sack.
Yeah.
Call it, it's halfway in between.
Did you catch the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know 100% he was going to throw or 100% he was going to run? Did he even?
No.
Right.
He doesn't. The line is blocking half and half most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Half is run blocking, the other half is pass blocking. Because they don't know.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting one.
At 10, the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, they actually have something to hang their hat on.
Yeah.
They paid for it. I mean, Icky with an early pick. The guards were expensive, but they're getting something on their
They're playing
return.
Brady Christensen at left tackle and Cade Mays at center.
I think Icky's back soon.
Yeah.
Center was going to be a weakness all along, but the other 4 were solid, expensive guys.
At 9, up 2 spots, the Jets.
I'm
not buying that.
I would not have them that high.
No, I'm not buying that at all.
It's gotten a little better.
Rodgers is just getting rid of the ball so quickly.
Yeah,
You're not going to
ball
get
just
pressure
comes
on
out.
him.
And they have a great running back and great skill guys too.
At 8, down a spot, the Philadelphia Eagles.
They're not the elite line anymore.
They're starting Fred Johnson at left tackle.
Is
that the same Fred Johnson that was with the Steelers 10 years ago?
He's one of the more interesting linemen in the league. I mean, I'm sure you remember, but I'm not sure our listeners do. He's like uncommonly strong. Like he could be in strongman competitions, like natural power, but he is stiff. And, I mean, it doesn't change directions. I mean, but he gets his hands on you, but he's not Jordan Mailata, who could be back tonight, actually.
Yeah. At 7, down a spot, the Buffalo Bills.
I've been very impressed with that group. I mean, they've gradually put a lot into it. They play a lot of 6 offensive linemen. The right tackle, the tall kid, was a project that
Spencer
hit.
Brown.
Yeah. Dawkins has always been good. The inside's fine. But the line's become a strength. I think Allen used to make up for the line for a lot of the time.
At number 6, down 4 spots, is Tampa Bay.
I probably have them higher, but are they counting Wirfs?
Well, they're not counting Wirfs, yeah.
Then
you got to take him out of the equation.
Then it's a different world.
Yeah, that's why they're down.
Other than Penei Sewell, if you gave me one O lineman, it might be worse.
At 5, down 2 spots, is Kansas City.
That's fair.
Their tackles are still a problem.
They're a real problem.
I don't know how Jawan Taylor's listed in blue here. Jawan Taylor is not good.
That's not fair. Do they have Sue Mattia in there?
Yeah.
Because then I think because of injury, he's getting thrust in there now.
Yeah. So that could be a troublesome for them against the Bills this week.
We talked in the first segment, what worries you most on your Super Bowl run for the Ravens? The tackles for the Chiefs is probably my biggest concern if I was them.
If they run into a situation where an official is actually calling the quick start,
kind of stuff, right?
Or not having your helmet lined up with the center's mid-drift.
I mean, the V they create on pass plays is...
They look like geese flying south.
Remarkable,
Like they were right up on the edge of it and often over the edge of it.
And I would think a team like the Steelers wouldn't be high on their list, just in terms of edge rushers.
Yeah. So we'll see. At 4, up a spot, the Packers.
I always say the sum of the parts is, or whatever that saying is, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts with them. They don't have great players, but whatever their O-line coach is, they seem to draft one in the 4th round every year and turn him into a starter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gold. It's like Munchakian.
At 3, up 5 spots, the Commanders.
It's another good unit. I mean, no one stands out. I think Cosme's their best guy. Scheme helps. Running quarterback helps. I don't know if I'd have them that high, but it way outkicked my expectations.
Some of these numbers, though, so on 37 pass plays last week, they allowed just 4 pressures. 2 of them turned into sacks. You have to take account. This is where you're talking with the running quarterback stuff. Mm-hmm. The idea is not to just go, hair on fire at the quarterback.
Right.
The idea is to keep the quarterback in the pocket.
We were talking about this Monday after the game. If T.J. Watt was the most selfish human being on the planet and only wanted sacks, he would get some more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he'd get a lot more.
They're doing a job to keep the quarterback in the pocket and not allow him to run crazy, and he had no scramble yards in that game.
And frankly, I mean, that's one of the problems with analytics is how do you judge that?
How do you count that?
How do you count that? I mean,
well, they look at it, is
it a pressure or not?
Like I saw a stat today on Watt. Watt's got a career it's a career low 9.7 pressure rate. Well,
he's got to go through more of a gauntlet than ever.
He's running through more of a gauntlet.
Less than ever.
You take last week's game where the idea is just to push the pocket and not necessarily get to you'd like to get to the quarterback if you can.
If you do, great.
But
I bet
that's not the main goal.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be his pressure rate's not going to go up against this game probably, even though he's going to get a better of Rosengard.
Yeah.
But
if T.J. Watt wanted to, and they dropped back to pass 35 times, and it was just him and Roger Rosengarten,
right.
He's there 18 times.
Right. As much as anyone in the league.
Now, that also might allow Lamar to scramble away from him 12 times, which is why you don't do that.
So we've talked about Steeler blitz rate and stuff like that, and it was up in this game. The thing every defensive coordinator on the planet wants, though, is if I can consistently affect the game with 4, I get to play with 7 dudes in coverage, and, obviously, it's simple math. But his pressure rate Watts in particular, but all the starting four, would go up drastically if they blitzed more. I mean, if I have a 6-man protection for those 4, 2 on Watt, help on Cam with the other guy or whatever, well, just think of the ratio of if I bring somebody behind Watt.
Yeah, the backside, or bringing somebody around Watt.
6 versus 5 is a lot different.
Yeah.
But it's a team game.
Right. Yeah. It's the ultimate team game.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. To me, I thought the Steelers' pass rush affected Jaden Daniels last week. He completed 50% of his passes.
I think it's the biggest reason they won the game, maybe.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you. Because I thought it was a rough day by the corners. There were open receivers that weren't completed because of him being affected.
Throwing behind guys coming across on crossers across the middle. And maybe he struggles with that throw. Maybe that's something that they saw on tape. That
middle of the field stuff you're talking about? Yeah.
I mean, I know I saw at least 5 passes where he threw the ball behind a receiver on a crosser.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I definitely think Cam Hayward had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Number
2, the Denver Broncos.
But real quick, I thought Next Gen, which is different than PFF, had Daniels his most pressured game.
There you go.
I've always hesitated to even use pressure.
Pressure is such a
because if Cynthia Freeland was sitting here, I think she would tell you I have to be a foot and a half away to call it a pressure when the ball comes out. There's some math thing to it, so that they take the is that a pressure or not out of the equation. But pressures in general.
Here's
to me,
the thing:
I look at, but
there's not a quarterback in the league that lines up and sees T.J. Watt on his right and doesn't feel pressured by that.
Well, yeah. Or the play caller or the protection scheme or all those things. Absolutely.
That affects the game.
Yep.
So Denver's number 2, and that leaves still Detroit number 1. Detroit the only team on here with all 5 guys in blue.
Okay. Are all 5 starters still kicking? I think so.
Decker, Glasgow, Ragnow, Zeitler, Sewell.
Yeah. Okay. They've gotten, I think, most of the year out of their starting 5. Too.
Yeah.
And Penei Sewell's unbelievable.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've got a good group.
Good for Denver, too. Denver's built something decent there.
Yeah. I still don't know that it's –
I like Meinertz. I don't love McGlinchey.
I think Bowles is overrated.
Yeah, I think Bowles is overrated. Yeah. But they run block, and he's a good schemer, too.
Yeah. They don't run block super well, though. Either that or their backs all stink.
I'm not sure if their backs are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to a break. Those were the offensive line rankings. Pro Football Focus, but the Steelers moving up on that list, and
I think they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, if they can get up into those high teens, I think you'd take that.
You take that, and this time next year you're 8.
Yeah,
okay, now you're building something.
Now you got something on the headed the right way,
considering your young investments.
Yeah, he is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. Welcome back to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And we're talking about T.J. Watt, Matt. He has 16 career sacks against the Ravens.
There's some crazy things here.
The most sacks against the Ravens since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
The next closest guy is Myles Garrett with 8.5.
I know. Right.
Think about that.
Those two came in the league the exact same year. Garrett and Watt.
Oh, by the way, Trey Hendrickson's in the division, too.
Yeah, right.
Because Cam Hayward's third on that list was 7.
Yes. Okay. Pretty good.
Yeah.
They've had some success against Ravens O-line and Lamar and whoever other quarterbacks in the game for them. And then what's crazy is not only is that the most against the Ravens, but there's only one team that has a player have more sacks against them during the time. And it's the Browns and Watt.
Yeah. Well, there's also this one. Okay, so he has 7.5 career sacks on Lamar Jackson,
who doesn't play all the time against Steelers
in 4 games.
Right.
Myles Garrett's second on that list with 5.5 sacks against Lamar Jackson in 10 games.
I was going to say he's probably played the Browns a lot more than 4 times. Right. And he's not an easy guy to sack.
No.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Cincinnati Sam Hubbard has 4.5. Chris Jones has 4 in 5 games. 7.5 sacks in 4 games.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty significant.
And I like his chances this week.
His chances to add to that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Lamar against the Steelers in games he's started. is 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
The one came in 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
When
been a while.
And they won that game. If you remember the game, Mason Rudolph gets hurt at the end of the first half.
Okay.
He took a hit from the safety.
He was a starter?
He started the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mason Rudolph gets hurt at the end of the first half. Duck Hodges comes in. The game goes to overtime.
As they often do. Yeah.
Hodges hits a pass to Juju Smith-Schuster in overtime. It's a catch and run. He's running with the ball, and Marlon Humphrey comes up behind Juju Smith-Schuster at about the Baltimore 40 and stripped the ball out.
And then
the Ravens go. Yeah, they get like one first down. They kick a field goal and win it.
Wow.
Or he's 0-4
right
against the Steelers because there's a good chance the Steelers were going to be in field goal range.
Yeah. So Humphrey saves the day.
Humphrey saved the day. It wasn't anything Lamar did.
No, and I'm sure I know what document you're looking at right now. His passer rating, all this LS stuff,
everything
is just so much worse against the Steelers.
He's thrown now. The Steelers they're the only team that he's thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes against.
Yeah,
it's 4-7. It's not the most interceptions that he has in his career against one team. The Browns actually have that. I think it's
he's played them a lot,
8 or 9. But again, that's what I was going to say.
Right.
He's played them 10 times.
Yeah, strangely, he's been out of the equation when the Steeler games roll around. You know. No, it's bonkers because all the stats, passer rating, turnovers has been a big thing for him.
Yeah.
Been a big problem.
He's turned the ball over 10 times in those 4 games. 7 interceptions and 3 fumbles.
Yeah, I knew it was high number.
Because they hit him.
Right. And who knows? Maybe it's a Harbaugh playing tighter type of thing. Or I don't know, you know. But they also cause a lot of turnovers.
So in his 4 games against the Steelers, they've averaged 19.8 points.
Mm-hmm.
When he plays anybody else, the Ravens average 29.1 points.
It's 10 points difference.
10-point difference.
Yeah, the discrepancy is massive. So I like how they did it, too. They didn't say, here's his normal against 32.
Yeah.
It's 1 versus 31 others.
Yeah, this is what he does against
this all the way out.
His passer rating
is unbelievably different.
66.3 against the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's 103.0 against everybody else.
Yeah.
He's top 5. People who say he can't pass you're out of your mind.
They're out of your mind, right?
He's, I think, 2nd or 3rd all time in passer rating.
And this year he's on pace to set the record.
And blow it away.
Blow it away. I mean, if he just doesn't screw it up, he'll probably set the record.
Yeah.
But he's got to play the Steelers twice.
He's got to play them twice.
And he doesn't do it so well against them.
Yeah. And the Browns seem to have his number to a certain degree.
You think it's maybe one great pass rusher?
I think that might be part of it.
Hendrickson's good, but he's not like those two.
No, not like those.
I mean? Like he doesn't play Parsons. He doesn't play Bosa. You know.
Yeah.
If they lost to Crosby.
It might be 2 because Cam gets there quite a bit.
Yeah. I was just thinking what's common between the Browns and Steelers is one superstar, you know.
Yeah.
And Cam doesn't hurt, and they're better than the Browns against them.
But he averages 2.5 giveaways per game against the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, he averages 0.7.
I'm sure it's on his mind right now.
He was asked about it this week. He was asked, hey, what's the why do you think the problem is with the Steelers? And he says, I don't know. I don't know.
When's his most recent appearances against the Steelers?
Last year.
Yeah,
they beat him 17-10.
The last game he didn't play in.
Right.
But he did.
The first one he did. Here.
And they scored in 2022.
I think he missed both of them that year.
Okay. As I said, I can't remember when all 4 of those.
Yeah, he missed one the year before that, or vice versa. But one of the years he missed them both.
The bad news on all this is, I think this is the best version of Lamar Jackson that's ever walked the earth.
Yeah.
But the good news is he destroys 31 teams and he doesn't destroy this one at all.
I mean, until we have tangible evidence that he can do it, you have to look at it and go, can he? I don't know.
No, it makes me crazy.
Because he hasn't beaten them in this decade.
Yeah.
This decade.
Like you said, though, it makes me crazy when people are like, yeah, but he's not a very good passer. You're nuts.
So how about this? So right now, Lamar leads the league in passer rating.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow's 2nd.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson is 3rd.
Yeah.
If that holds up the entire season, it will be the first time since the league has recognized passer rating as an official statistic.
Which, from I remember, is like early 80s.
1973.
Oh, okay, I'm saying like Dan Fouts, I remember his passing rating.
1973 was the first year they actually recognized passer rating. It'll be the first time 3 guys in the same division finished 1, 2, and 3.
That's kind of surprising. Like, I bet batting average has done that, or home runs, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Leading scorers in the NBA or NHL or whatever. That's a long time.
But for when you came into this season, even, last year and the year before, the Steelers, obviously, they clearly have the worst passer room or quarterback room in the division.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said all along, no, Cleveland.
Yeah. Now it's clearly 3, but it's still.
It's clearly 3, but it's not.
It's closer to 2 than what it looked like then.
It's not the distance that everybody thought it was going to be.
100%. And the numbers bear that out for sure.
Yeah.
But the tape does too. I mean, he's played that well through 3 games.
Yeah. So.
But some of his lifetime stuff's crazy too.
Oh.
Like, there's in that packet that the league sends out, the touchdown to interception stuff that Wilson has, and then they put it next to Lamar. They're like the best 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, if you date back to beginning of last year, they're the best 2 touchdown to interception ratios in the league, 2023 and 2024 combined. And Denver put him on the bench for 2 games.
Yeah. Which, thanks, Denver.
But his whole career, touchdown-interception ratio is the 3rd best in history. He's only behind Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes.
If he has an average game.
His average game on Sunday.
He needs 221 yards to pass Drew Bledsoe for 18th place on the all-time passing list.
Remember, Bledsoe played for the Cowboys for a long time. I mean, it's not like his career got ended when Brady benched him.
He needs 2 touchdown passes to move into a tie with Fran Tarkenton for 12th place on the all-time list.
A really long time too. Went to 4 Super Bowls.
With 340.
Yeah.
340 touchdowns is a lot.
What ranks were those? I'm sorry.
18th and 12th.
Yeah. That's probably Hall of Fame, don't you think?
He's going to add to them.
That's what I mean.
That's the thing. I mean, he's going to continue to add to. He'll be top 10 and all that stuff by the time he's done.
Yeah. I mean, this is a conversation for another day, but if he's the starting quarterback here next year, which I highly suspect he will be, I would think you get this year and 2 more out of him minimum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure that you have to draft a first-round quarterback if you sign him in the first round.
No, it gives you
that
wiggle room.
That. Yeah, right.
Gives you wiggle room to do that.
You don't take in a bad quarterback draft. You don't draft that guy as his successor just because wait.
You take one in the 3rd round the next 3 years,
Then hope you hit.
One of them hits.
Or
he was a 3rd-round pick.
Justin, you want to come back too?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. But
so Wilson's career stuff's crazy, and this year's been really, really good, and last year was a lot better than people think.
Yeah, his career passer rating's 100.1. That's top 5 all time. That's tied.
It has to be
that's tied with Joe Burrow.
Really? Who you think of as efficient as could be?
Yeah.
Like that's his stat.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, anyways, that's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. Welcome back to the drive. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, of course, you can hear the drive every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on these very airwaves, or you can download the Steelers mobile app. You get the drive that way. It'll download directly to your phone off the mobile app. And you can also watch us on YouTube and go ahead and leave us comments. And I appreciate I haven't answered or replied to every comment on there regarding my health situation, but I do appreciate everybody out there reaching out and saying congratulations.
Absolutely.
Just I can't say enough about that, but I do appreciate it. And if I don't reply, it's not because I don't want to, but there are so many so many people on there, I can't reply to them all. But anyways, it's time now for the fantasy football focus. And we mentioned the 2 Steelers injuries. Jaylen Warren missing practice today. Najee Harris back in full. Does that worry you in this game?
Well, I think Najee's a little bit of an underrated receiver and underutilized receiver. And Patterson can do
some of that
quite
stuff,
a bit of it too, and there were even some packages last week where Warren was the back and Patterson was basically a wide receiver. But did the defense count that as 2 backs, or do you count it as 11? You know what I mean? So that's some fun stuff. So I think there's some untapped things with those 2. But the answer to your question is yes, it worries me, because I really liked the way Warren was trending from where he was injury-wise early in the year. And I thought this was going to be more of a Warren game than maybe any this year, considering their pass problems, pass defense problems. So I guess we'll see. But
I don't expect him.
Friend of the show, by the way.
Yeah, a friend of the show. He was on yesterday, so you can go back and listen to that.
Go
on
check
YouTube.
that out if you missed it.
But I don't expect him to miss the game. I would be surprised.
He fights through everything.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
But if he's limited or,
slept wrong on it or whatever, woke up on the wrong side of the bed,
hopefully
whatever
tomorrow
it was.
we're not even talking about it. But
yeah. Darnell Mooney with an Achilles issue, limited at practice on Thursday.
Do you think he's an every week fantasy starter at this point?
He's at least a wide receiver 3, low end 2.
I think he's in that top 36 probably no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a really good year.
Yeah, so that's significant.
Yes, absolutely. Because I don't think London's 100%, but, I mean, they're a good offense, and he's a big part of it.
Playing Denver this week. So how do you approach that? If Darnell Mooney ends up missing this game?
Yeah. I mean,
More
London's
Pitts?
got a big – more Pitts. Yeah, that's the answer. Because, I would still start London if I have him. He's really good. But he's going to have an uphill climb, I would think Pitts gets a boost.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how keep that in mind. I mean, Bijan's been running the ball super effectively over the last
He gets a boost, too.
Yeah.
He's been catching the ball well, too, but he's having a tremendous year, and he's even getting hotter as the year goes on.
Yeah. Amazing thing is the guy in our league who has Bijan and Derrick Henry and is 3-7.
Wow.
He's George Pickens, too.
Wow.
You got to really try to do that.
So I don't bring up I guess I do bring up my teams, but every Tuesday night is fantasy night where I go through all my dynasty leagues and my 2 redraft leagues and put my waiver wire claims in. I submit my lineup, look as everybody does. When are my bye weeks? What do I need to do here? In this league that I'm in Dynasty, I have the most points scored by 200. I mean, it's a lot more than anybody else, and I have 3 wins. Fire that defensive coordinator, man. I mean, that's one of the things about this game that makes you crazy. I might not make the playoffs.
Sometimes it's fire the head coach because he's putting the wrong guys in the game.
No, I'm scoring the most points in the league. I just don't beat the opponent. I'm not game planning well enough.
Yeah, you're the Ravens' defense.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 wins. I have the most points in the league.
Tyler Algier with that quad issue was back as a full participant in practice today. So they had their 1-2 punch.
I guess if he had Bijan, he wouldn't be crying too much if he wasn't in.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins also back. He had shoulder and elbow issues.
I bet he's ailing.
Yeah.
He's got to be hurting at this stage of the career or the season.
Remember, he didn't throw at all last year. Because,
right.
So now you're getting back into it.
And as the older guys go, he's not Ben or Favre. Or,
he was never a great athlete.
The biggest, strongest brute,
Yeah. Amari Cooper with the wrist injury officially limited on Thursday.
I think they have major receiver issues.
Yeah. Dalton Kincaid with a knee was a non-participant on Thursday.
And I don't think Keon Coleman's playing.
Keon Coleman is not playing.
Okay. I mean, Shakir, fire him up. He gets a boost.
Matt Collins is a sneaky
He got picked up in one of my leagues
DFS
today.
start.
That's a sneaky DFS start. Yeah, it was a dynasty league that's too deep for most people. But Shakir gets a boost. Certainly helps the Chiefs' chances to win the game.
Yeah.
I wonder about Kincaid. Because if Kincaid plays, I think he gets a boost too.
Yeah, that's a knee issue. They're managing a knee injury right now. It looks like he has a real shot of missing Sunday's game. They also have Dawson Knox.
Yeah, that's a sneaky
who's not
DFS
terrible.
play too.
Yeah, who's not terrible.
Got a pretty good chance to catch a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, they like him. The quarterback likes him. It's not like they don't.
Yeah,
if he's out there, they're not going to ignore him.
They didn't draft Kincaid because they hate Knox.
Right.
I mean, they just want to change the way they play.
Yeah. Marshawn Lloyd
I forgot about him.
with the ankle and hamstring stuff. He was actually limited on Thursday.
Because their number 2 situation's been goofy. I don't know if it even
Emmanuel Wilson's kind of been the guy, but
I wonder if Lloyd's kind of the Roman Wilson train here, though. Tough. It's harder for a receiver.
Yeah, running back's a little easier to get back to it.
But he was never great, and his problems were protection and fumbles.
Yeah,
which is
not
how you
good.
stay off the field.
That's how. Yeah. Here's the thing: Josh Jacobs with the quad was limited on Thursday.
Okay, he's had a pretty heavy workload.
Is that a heavy workload? They're coming off a bye.
Mm-hmm. You would think these things.
You'd
are
think
better.
he'd be all right at this point.
Yeah, keep an eye on it. Obviously.
Yeah, Jair Alexander.
Would you fire up Wilson
if he doesn't play? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean if he's the only show in town, it doesn't matter if he's good or not.
Right.
Yeah, he's on a good offense.
Jair Alexander was limited on Thursday as well for the Packers.
Okay.
So
Bears' offense has been broke, but
we finally have news. Mike McCarthy telling reporters, I should say. Reporters are people too.
yeah, they are.
Rico Dowdell will be the lead back for the Dallas
be.
Cowboys. Yeah.
I made a deal in our league, and the throw-in to make the numbers work. I'm like, throw me Dowdell. I could start him if I have to.
Their problem is they're just not going to score many points.
No, their offense is going to be bad. But he's the best one on tape. Elliott's shot.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, Cooper Rush hadn't really played in a few years.
He's never.
He's going to get better than what he was in the first.
He's never
game.
been the anchor that he looked like in this game. I think we know who
he
is.
He looked awful last week.
Awful. I bet he's better. It's probably true. Like CeeDee Lamb might be a buy low.
Yeah, if your trade deadline's coming up, and the most recent game, CeeDee Lamb was not good.
Right, and you're just looking at it like, this offense stinks.
Hey, I'll give you my wide receiver too for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be at least.
Not like they're not. He got 10 targets in that game.
He's the only show in town.
Yeah.
Even Mingo's probably not going to get involved for a while,
Yeah, so, 10 targets is 10 targets. If he catches 8 of them, you're happy.
Yeah, he may get 12, 15 targets.
Yeah.
They're going to be losing, too.
Josh Reynolds was designated to return from IR with the Broncos. He was fantasy relevant early in the year when he was out there.
He's had splashes in his career, even in Detroit. Just keep an eye out.
Yeah,
other than Sutton, no one's really distinguishing themselves.
That's the thing. Right now it's Sutton and nothing else. Every once in a while, the slot guy will get involved, but they're going to be playing some meaningful games here.
Yeah. Nick seems to be getting a little better.
There's nothing on the waiver wire right now.
You mean in fantasy leagues?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
He's on every waiver
at this.
wire, right?
At this point, everything's picked over.
Yeah, because injuries are hitting you hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you going to push the button to start Josh Reynolds? Well, Bimageddons are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Weeks 12 and 4 are going to be real.
They're going to be bad, yeah.
So just keep that in mind. We mentioned Gardner Minshew named the starter for Week 11 for the Raiders.
That's good for fantasy.
How long is that? They stick with that?
Oh,
though?
I don't know.
He's on a short leash.
Yeah. The problem is the other dogs aren't very good on the leashes.
Yeah.
But for fantasy, that's who you want.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's not good.
The Falcons have confirmed that Younghoe Koo will remain their kicker. He's missed 5 of his past 7 field goal attempts.
Yeah.
He's actually fallen to he was 4th or 5th on the all-time field goal kicking percentage list. He's not 8th.
Yeah, just because of this year.
It's like Tucker. Tucker's now below 90% for his career.
One bad year.
One bad year.
That kind of happened to Boz.
That's what happened to Boswell.
Right.
If you took one of those bad years out of Boswell's stats,
he'd be 1, right?
He'd be number 1.
Yeah. Consistency position.
Yeah. So, when you're the Falcons and you lose a game like you did last week by 3, and your kicker missed 3 of them?
I think 1 was blocked, too.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. He's earned a little trust because he's not the new guy, but he'll forget about you pretty quick, too.
Yeah, they'll move on. Gus Edwards back in a limited practice yesterday. You interested in hopping on the Gus bus?
If he's a free agent, I'm picking him up.
Yeah.
He's a Dobbins injury away from being the guy.
And not only that, but if you look at it, early in the year when both were available, they were pretty much splitting carries almost 50-50.
And it's the same coordinator from Baltimore.
Yeah.
He's going to treat him the exact same way.
He's going to get the goal line
carries.
He's
going to get the goal line carries. The offense is getting better. He should be in every league.
Yeah. The schedule's not difficult.
No, it's not. And they should be able to run late in games, too.
Yeah.
And,
Gus Edwards is a sneaky kind of if he plays this week, he's a sneaky DFS play. Is a cheap. He'll be like $3,500.
Yeah. I like his chance to score.
If he falls into the end zone.
Yeah, you win.
Yeah. Joey Bosa was limited on Wednesday.
Okay.
Aaron Jones with that rib issue officially limited on Wednesday as well.
Okay. I get the impression that they think he's going to go, but I bet
ribs are tricky for.
I'd say that smells like a game time decision.
Yeah.
I hope they're not like a Sunday nighter or a Monday nighter or even a 4:00er.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think they're at 1.
And Sam Darnold also limited yesterday with a hand issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that might explain some of the interceptions that he has been throwing of late. You interested in anybody in tonight's game? Tonight's game actually would be an interesting captain's chair build.
You want to build one next segment?
Let's take a look here.
Now?
Let's take a look here and see what stands out to us. Because it's a good game.
It's a good game.
I think a lot of people have eyeballs on it.
Oh, it's first place in the East. Both these teams are playing really well.
two of the better teams
Eagles
in the
have
NFC.
gotten noticeably better.
Yeah. So
Let's begin here.
let's take a look here and see where we would go with this for tonight's game.
Are we thinking Robinson, Brian is going to play?
Looks like it.
Okay.
Yeah, looks like everybody's.
Lattimore's out.
Yeah, Lattimore's still not playing. So if we want to go with the captain's chair, Jalen Hurts is 16.5. Saquon is 15.9. Jaden Daniels is 15.6. A.J. Brown is 1,500 even, or 15,000 even. Terry McLaurin 13.5. Devontae Smith 12.9. Brian Robinson 12.3. Austin Eckler 12,000. Dallas Goedert 9,900. Noah Brown 9,300.
I was impressed with Noah Brown.
I'm not going to get into all the quarterbacks there that are listed then next. Zach Ertz is 8,400. The kickers, Jake Elliott is 7,800. Zane Gonzalez is 7,200. The Eagles' defense is 6,600. Jahan Dotson is 6,000. The Commanders' defense
Revenge
is
game for Dotson.
5,900. It is a revenge game for him.
He doesn't play much.
Then there's some other guys there. I would probably look at Devontae Smith would be interesting.
My problem with that one, I thought he was a little too cheap when you were reading off the numbers. When Goddard, Brown, and Smith have all been healthy, he's kind of underachieved. But it's also
It's a huge
6
game.
games.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
it's
how
a
many
huge
games do
game.
we have to go off of? I was leaning towards A.J. Brown.
I mean, that would be solid
Without
as well. I mean, he's
Lattimore,
cheaper than he's 15. So if you went with him at 15, now you can average 7,000 the rest of the way. Well, Jalen Hurts is 11,000. Saquon is 10.6.
I mean, there's some big hitters in this game.
Jaden Daniels is 10.4. McLaurin
Are we
is
worried at all about Jaden Daniels for fantasy?
no,
I'm not either.
no. McLaurin is 9,000. Devontae Smith is 8,600. So you're going to need a cheap option or two if you want to get
If you want to get one of those big dogs,
because you almost have to have Jalen Hurts.
put Jalen Hurts in the lineup.
Okay.
Maybe we move Brown out of the chair and put him in the lineup.
But then you got to pivot to somebody else. Who are you pivoting to?
I was thinking about going cheap with like an Austin Eckler. What if Brian Robinson re-aggravates or they're losing heavy and it's
They gotta
third
throw.
down stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a bad call. Well,
Because then we should be able to load up everywhere else.
let's see what that does. He's still 12,000.
I mean, everybody was expensive.
Yeah. So if you do that,
He
AJ
was like the 8th most expensive.
AJ
last
Brown
time.
is 10,000. So you got that stack. You can average 5,600 the rest of the way, which
That
again
doesn't get you anywhere.
you're going to need some cheap options.
What about a kicker?
You go Jake Elliott or the Eagles defense. You think the Eagles are going to win? Or do you go Washington's defense? Or even cheaper. They're 3,600. The Eagles defense is 4,400.
Is there some really cheap guy?
Well, that's what I'm going to look at. Jeremy McNichols is
I would say one of
2,800.
the Washington running backs. Or like Sanat doesn't even play.
Diami
But
Brown is 1,600. Luke McCaffrey is 1,200.
He was open more than you think.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys that got missed a fair amount. I
Grant,
would throw him in there. I mean, we're going to have to go cheap somewhere.
Grant Calcaterra is 1,000.
Okay. How much is Luke, did you say?
1,200.
I would put him in.
Jake Bates is 600. Ben Sinnott is 200. Will Shipley is 400.
Is he the number 2, though? I mean, Barkley doesn't ever come out.
Well, no, actually, the number 2 is Gamewell.
Yeah, it's
and
Gainwell.
Gamewell's 3,200.
Yeah.
I'm just looking here.
McCaffrey's the one I would really cheapy it up with.
You could get something out of that.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that might allow us to not have 2 junky guys.
okay, so he would be 1,200. Now you could average 7,900, which still doesn't get you into range to get. Like you could get Jaden Daniels, but then you're going to have another cheapie.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could get McLaurin, but you're still going to have another cheapie. Brian Robinson, he doesn't catch the ball enough to make that worth it.
Robinson would be low on my list coming off an injury.
Yeah. Goddard.
You want a kicker?
Goddard's 6,600, so you could afford him. Let me see if you went Goddard, that leaves you 9,200, and that would get you McLaurin.
It's not bad. Goddard's had a good year when he's out there.
Yeah.
He just missed some time.
So you'd have that, and you still have $200 left over.
Okay. Is there any logic to going a kicker?
I mean, I could,
That'd probably take Phillies.
Yeah. So if I take
Because Washington's
Goddard
on their back.
and McLaurin out, and you go kicker,
But Washington still kicks a ton of field goals if we
They
recall
do.
from a week ago,
But do you trust Zane Gonzalez?
Yeah.
All right.
Do we think weather's bad?
Well, that gives you 11,000, and that would mean that you could get.
Are they getting our weather in Philly?
I would assume so.
That's not great.
Some of it. Yeah. You could get Saquon at 10-6. You could get Jaden Daniels at 10-4. And you could actually pay up and get Elliott. Still have enough to get Elliott instead of Zane Gonzalez.
I prefer to have Elliott, I think.
Yeah. So if you go Elliott.
Do we still have McCaffrey in there?
It's 5,200. McCaffrey's in there. That leaves you 10-6, and that gets you enough to get Saquon Barkley. If you want Saquon Barkley.
I don't not want Saquon Barkley.
Or Jaden Daniels.
I feel like we're a little light on Commanders, and that's
if
1 week ago we'd be like, this is one of the best offenses in the league.
If you think the Commanders are going to lose the game, you want Jaden Daniels. He's going to have to throw.
I think they're going to lose the game, but
we
I think
don't have
a lot of
McLaurin
points.
though. That's the only problem. We don't. I'd love to have McLaurin there, but the only pass catcher that you have for them is Eckler
and McCaffrey.
Yeah. Which okay.
I mean, yeah, he's out there a lot.
So the question then becomes: do you want Barkley or do you want Jaden Daniels?
I think Daniels
Daniel
two
scores
quarterbacks is nice.
Yeah, I think
we have Hurts in the lineup.
I think
right?
Daniel scores more points.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and that would have two.
It's like a super
left
flex
over.
conversation.
Yeah.
Like, who would you start, Dan? You start two quarterbacks if you can.
Now I'm not actually going to enter this one.
Yeah,
I just called up the first lineup or first contest I saw, so I'm not going to enter.
What did we end up with?
Eckler in the captain's chair at 12,000.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts at 11,000. A.J. Brown at 10,000. Luke McCaffrey at 1,200. Jake Elliott at 5,200. And Jaden Daniels at 10-4.
Two quarterbacks is pretty nice. And A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
McCaffrey catches 3 or 4 balls.
If Eckler catches...
Yeah. I think he'll catch several.
4 passes. They run screens to him.
A lot.
They couldn't do it against the Steelers. Steelers did a good job of controlling that.
Right.
But
most weeks, Eckler's been a good fantasy player.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad lineup.
No, it's a fun game, though, too.
Yeah. So, we'll see how that does tonight. But that's going to do it for the Fantasy Football Focus. Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And, Matt, let's go ahead and earlier in the show, we looked at the offensive line rankings. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at the quarterback rankings here and see where they're getting a lot. We're heading down the road from last year and the year before that where you had like 70 different guys start games. We're not quite to that level yet.
I mean,
but we're getting there.
It feels better than that. But
I mean, folks, the Steelers have started 2 quarterbacks this year.
Right.
I mean, you don't think of it that way, but they have.
Yeah. I mean, I remember last year the Browns and Jets started 4.
The Browns have started 3 already.
They're already.
They start. No, they didn't start DTR.
No, not yet. But that could happen if just to get a look at them the last couple of weeks.
By the way, did you look at their schedule the rest of the way?
It's really tough, isn't it? Yeah. There's a lot of losses.
Jameis might throw about 15 interceptions the rest of the way this season.
No, I know.
They got some really good defenses that they play down the stretch that it's not going to be kind to him. But yeah, I mean, so a lot of these teams have started multiple starters. Mm-hmm. I mean, Indianapolis, Tennessee.
Yeah. Some of them are benchings, Carolina, Tennessee, you mentioned, right?
We almost had 3 starters for the Raiders this week.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 2 for Jacksonville.
I bet we end up with 3.
2 in Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas is probably going to be 3 before the end of the season.
Fortunately, there's some like Tua that got hurt but came back.
Yeah.
You're back to the starter.
Did they start 3?
I don't think so. I think so.
They did start 3. Because Huntley started a couple of those games too. So they've started 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're probably the only team that has.
Once you start getting into the 3 quarterbacks range, it's like
disaster
the numbers just start to climb and climb.
Trey Lance might get a start.
I think at some point you have to.
Why not? Right.
You have to.
Remember Minnesota last year? It was like they pulled Dobbs off the street.
Yeah.
And they went through 4 or 5.
Have you seen his commercial, by the way?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Who's sitting around going, okay, let's come up with a commercial idea. How about we get Josh Dobbs?
Get backup quarterbacks, yeah. That's good stuff.
Okay, so this week, this is Nick Shook's rankings here on NFL.com. He has Cooper Rush at 32.
That's fine, and he played terrible.
Yeah. He has Mac Jones at 31.
He was pretty terrible, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was downgrade all of your Jaguars pass catchers, too.
Yeah, I mean, like Brian Thomas was a really good story, but that ship might have sailed. For
That's
fantasy.
going away.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and Evan Ingram, was one of your top fantasy target.
He was a target hog too when he was out there.
At 30, up 2 spots. This shows you where we're. Gardner Minshew, up 2 spots.
He's better than those 2 right now.
Yeah. At 29, up 2 spots. Again, moved up because nothing that he did, but 2 new guys came in. Jameis Winston.
Yeah. I guess he's still below like a Daniel Jones. Yeah, he definitely is.
Well, Daniel Jones is another one that could get benched soon.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I bet we see Locke at some point this year.
At 28, Caleb Williams.
He's playing terrible.
Terrible.
And their offense is horrible right now.
I think they've gone like 31 quarters now without scoring a touchdown.
Wow. I knew it was bad. I didn't think it was that bad. That's insane. Yeah.
Not scoring touchdowns.
Right. And I'm not sure a coordinator change is going to be like, oh, everything's fat.
He has 9 touchdown passes on the season. And if you remember, he had, I think it was a 3-touchdown game or maybe 4 touchdowns in one game earlier in the season.
Yeah, he had one blow-up game.
Yeah, and everybody said, oh, look at this. This is the guy.
Yeah. It's been brutal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we could even talk about some other time, but we did a mailbag show yesterday, and this isn't fantasy related, but if you were to draft all the first-round quarterbacks again, what order would you put them in knowing what you know now? He wouldn't be one.
From this year? Oh, it'd be Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels was clearly one. I said I'd still take May over Williams.
There were, again, I like Daniels better than Williams in last year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
May's a guy I was really high on.
He's played better than Caleb Williams.
I mean, Nix has played better than Williams, but I would still draft Williams over Nix.
Yeah. 27, down 3 spots, is Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's about where he lives.
Yeah.
Do you think he's an opening day starter next year?
I do not.
I don't either. Unless it's a hold down the fort for a first-round pick guy.
At 26, up 4 spots, and he just got benched, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, that's about how he played, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good story, but the production wasn't all that spectacular.
He just can't move anymore.
He can't move anymore, right. He's not that hard to play against. He's also very streaky. Steelers happen to get him
extremely streaky.
At the hot streak, right.
At 25, was unrated last week. Actually played pretty well, was Will Levis.
He did. I've been really hard on him. He's not for me.
He didn't have the turnovers.
But some of these guys...
He finally figured out how to get the ball to Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, Ridley's blowing up. You haven't mentioned Bryce Young yet. I mean, like, maybe that could happen to Richardson. I know Levis got hurt, but, like, these young guys, go get a month away from being a starter.
Watch somebody else just run the offense.
Yeah. Get the weight off your back, and now try it again.
At 24 is Bryce Young, up 3 spots.
How much would Levis have to do to not be in the quarterback market, considering where they're going to pick? He'd have to play better than he did last week.
Yeah.
He'd have to keep improving.
He'd have to continue to do that and more.
And show me a little more each time.
Yeah. But Bryce Young, number 24, up 3 spots. He didn't. The numbers weren't great last week, but he also didn't turn the ball over.
He looks like he belongs.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks the
taking
part.
better care of the football. He's making throws.
Better anticipation.
Yeah. Just to do the little things.
One thing about him, which I bet we see more and more, is just the Mahomes effect. I grew up watching Mahomes. I'm going to do this with him. My feet aren't set.
Yeah.
But he's not big and strong enough to do that. Just play in rhythm.
And sometimes you get away with that stuff in college. You're not going to get away with it.
That Bama's O-line.
Yeah. At 23, up 3 spots, is Drake May.
I'm a fan. I mean, he's going to take a beating. His line's terrible. His receivers are terrible, but he's not the problem.
At 22, up a spot, Bo Nix.
Yeah. And that's a success, considering where you drafted him. If you told Sean Payton and their GM that in November he would be the 22nd best starter, you'd be like, okay.
I think it says more about where we're at in the NFL.
All the dudes behind him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Flacco's still on the list, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm. And, like, Dak Prescott isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. 21, holding steady, Aaron Rodgers.
That's correct.
He is bad.
Yeah. It seems to be getting worse. Yeah, there's 5 or 6. Oh, yeah, I remember those throws. But
like if you went to Indianapolis right now and said, we will trade you Aaron Rodgers for the rest of this season, or you can go ahead and play Anthony Richardson.
I'd rather roll with Richardson.
I think they would too.
Yeah. I'm not saying to give you a better chance to win on Sunday, but that's door number 2. I'll take door number 2,
Yeah.
I don't think Rodgers will be in the NFL next year.
I don't think he will either. I think he's done.
I bet he watches his tape and be like, I'm not what I used to be.
Yeah.
And I hurt on Monday. A lot.
And I got a lot of stuff I want to do.
Yeah, and I'm busy.
Yeah.
And then that leaves the Jets in trouble.
At 20, up 5 spots, Derek Carr.
Okay.
Derek Carr is now ahead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. The whole key with him is if he's under a lot of pressure, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Heavy pass rush is bad. But if he can sit there and survey the field, he'll pick you up apart.
Yeah. Yeah. At 19, he didn't even play last week, down 3 spots, Jordan Love.
No.
He's not going to go any lower than that.
That's way too low.
Yeah.
Way too low. I mean, he hasn't played great through his injury, but I wouldn't hold that against him.
At 18, only up 1 spot, Russell Wilson. He's playing better than that.
He's playing better than that. Yes. I understand small sample size, and you can use that as not as a crutch, but I love Matthew Stafford, but Russell Wilson's playing better than him right now.
He's definitely playing better than the next guy.
And I'm sure there's several up here there, right?
Because at 17, down 3 spots, is Geno Smith. Russell Wilson's playing better than Geno Smith.
Yeah, he is. Without question.
At 16, he was a big riser last week, and now he is the big faller this week. Down 10 spots, Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, this is a bad taste in my mouth from last week. I thought he played poorly.
Missed a lot of throws.
And how's his body feeling at the moment? The line didn't help him all that much. The line didn't help him at all.
At 15, up 3 spots, Tua Tagovailoa.
I think he looks fine. He looks like himself. The offense hasn't been putting 40 or 60 on people, but ball comes out on time, and I think the offense is rounding into shape.
Would you rather have Tua or Russell Wilson right now?
Wilson. I think he's better above the neck.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Plus,
the systems are so different.
Yeah, he does what this team wants him to do,
Sure.
which is, hey, let's hit some deep balls.
Yeah. I mean, Miami would say Tua.
Yeah.
Steelers would say Wilson.
At 14, down 4 spots, Sam Darnold.
I'd be lower.
I can't have Jordan Love behind
Love and Wilson and even Stafford. Yeah, I think he'd be more around 18.
Yeah, he's up to 10 interceptions now, and he has 6 fumbles in 9 games.
And his good moments were quite a while ago.
Yeah. And he's got Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm. And now Hawkinson.
And now Hawkinson.
Addison's not a bad too.
There's no...
Right. Like a great scheme.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too high.
Losing your left tackle can't affect you that much.
No. Because you got a lot of stuff around you still.
At 13, up 2 spots, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think he's gradually moving up. I'm not a huge believer, but I think he's played his best football the last month or so.
He's completing almost 70% of his passes.
Yeah.
And the running is,
it's great.
Yeah, the tush push is I could do the tush push, but I wouldn't like it. At 12, up a spot, Kirk Cousins.
There's guys you mentioned I'd rather not play against than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stafford, Love, no doubt.
Would you rather play against Cousins or Russell Wilson?
Probably Cousins.
I know where he's going to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I go back to that. It was an 11-yard completion that Wilson had to Calvin Austin. It was on 2nd and 15, and he got 11 of it back. Runs to his left, comes all the way back around to his right, and throws it across his body to that looked like vintage Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think Cousins to me, the pros would be middle of the field passing.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. They're both good above the neck.
But you know exactly where he's going to be. At. There's the spot.
Yeah, he's a little too high on there for me. He's one of those guys. If we were drafting guys, he'd end up being lower than that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to quite take him.
He was still. I picked him up 2 weeks ago in our fantasy league, and then I cut him loose again with Love coming back. He's fine.
He's okay. Yeah. Get you through a stretch.
11 up a spot is C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
10
second-year growing pains, but he's been really good.
The big riser this week, up 7 spots. Kyler Murray. He's played well this year.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think it's a good offense. That team as a whole is clicking.
9 down a spot, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's going to turn into a pumpkin. I think he's going to be a starter for the next 5 years, but I don't know. He's not a top 10 guy for me.
No,
even though
there's too many turnover-worthy plays.
Yeah, there was a lot of good this year, and he's not playing with great dudes at the moment. But I don't have a high trust factor.
Yeah, 9 interceptions and 7 fumbles is too many in 10 games.
Reckless.
At 8, up 3 spots, Brock Purdy. It's amazing how he gets all the the guys get back on the field, and all of a sudden, Brock Purdy's real good again.
The one shocking thing about that team is they're like bottom of the league in red zone offense. They're never at the bottom of the league in red zone offense.
Yeah, Well, McCaffrey getting back should help that.
No question. He scores a million touchdowns.
At 7, holding steady, Jaden Daniels.
I wouldn't ding him too much for last week.
Yeah,
it wasn't his best game.
The Steelers made him look average.
Yeah.
He still had a couple of wild throws, but he looked average.
Yeah, if he looks like that again tonight, I would move him down to 11.
At 6, down a spot. You had to ding him for last week. Jared Goff.
Yeah. He's a certain type of quarterback, and when it's good, he's phenomenal. Frankly, I'd rather play against Goff than Love.
At 5, up 4 spots, Justin Herbert.
He's really on fire right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly where I put him. We know who the top 4 are, and Herbert would be my 5.
At 4, down a spot, is Josh Allen.
Okay. The way that you're never going to put Mahomes at 4. I know that he's not won lately. Somebody has to be 4 out of the 4.
Somebody got to be 4, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's what it comes down to.
At 3, down a spot, is Mahomes.
Okay. He's having the worst year of the 4.
Yeah. Burrow is 2, up 2 spots, and number 1 is Lamar.
I get it. They're having the best 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And they're not bad. It's not like insane to put them as the best quarterback in the league.
It's not. No. They're both playing really well.
Really well, yeah. I like your Burrow for MVP conversation.
They got to get back into playoff contention for that to happen. Like they got to.
It's not going to happen.
They have to beat the Chargers this week.
Yeah. That might be an elimination game. You can't lose another AFC game.
Yeah, because they would have 7 then. Now they don't play the Ravens again.
And that's one of the few games they don't have a massive quarterback.
They're not going to sweep the Steelers.
Probably not. No. I bet they win 3 games in the division.
Yeah. So,
no, they have a big time uphill climb.
Yeah. So if they lose this one,
that might be it.
Might be time to start breaking up the golf bags and figuring out where you're going on vacation.
Which means Week 18 might be an easier opponent.
Well, they'll still want to beat the Steelers if it means something to the Steelers.
Yeah.
But likewise, if the Steelers, we'll talk about this when we come back.
All right.
Let's do that. That was Nick Shook's power rankings power index for the quarterbacks this week. Russell Wilson moves up a spot.
He should be moving more rapidly.
He should be. I think there's still some people out there who are still hearing the echoes of Russell Wilson, bad teammate, blah, blah, blah. Like,
he also has a pretty decent track record in this league.
Yeah.
He didn't just come up out of nowhere.
If you remember, back when we were looking at these 3-4 years ago, he was probably a little overrated, and it took him a while to move him down.
Oh, yeah.
As to how he was playing then. He's playing much better now, and I want to talk about why and then what that means. We'll do that when we come back. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and I do finally have the Ravens injury report here.
All right.
Lamar Jackson did not practice today, but he was limited, I should say. That was considered a rest day. But
I think there's something going on.
There's something happening there with him because you're coming off
10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
There's no reason to. What's he resting from?
And we've talked about this week. 2 weeks ago he didn't run much, hardly at all.
His knee's been bothering him a little bit.
Something's bugging him a little.
Harbaugh's not afraid to play with that a little bit.
I think he's going to play, but
Arthur Millette added to the injury report with a calf issue as limited.
Okay.
We mentioned that Kyle Hamilton was back. Well, he's listed as limited.
So who knows what he did?
So who knows? That could have been working with the trainers on the side. Isaiah Likely was a full participant today. He was limited yesterday.
Okay.
Travis Jones added to the injury report as limited with an ankle issue.
We were talking about him in the first hour. I like him quite a bit. He's a big body that can move.
Active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
somebody like that, I could see the Steelers going after as a nose.
Yeah. So interesting. They're not quite as healthy as they appeared to be.
Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going on with Hamilton?
Yeah.
But I guess they're looking at it probably good news, unlikely. He's
Yeah.
the guy that's been out. That sounds like he's coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he'll play in this one, though. Because you mentioned before, Kohler, I think, needs to be out there more than you think. And so does or Ricard.
Yeah, one of those two guys has to be on the field all the time to help with Watt.
Yeah.
So
because I don't think you want Henry even being the chipper all that much. And I mean, if you want a flat out double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Henry's not out there on third downs.
No.
Ever.
No. I wanted to bring this up, too. I do think we might see a little bit more of Mitchell. I guess Harbaugh's been talking him up a little bit.
That could be playing some games.
That could be.
Are you really going to take Derrick Henry off the field to put
Justice Hill plays a lot?
Yeah, put Keaton Mitchell out there.
When Hill's out there, they throw him the ball a high percentage of the time.
Yeah,
and Henry doesn't get any targets.
Because he's not much of a. He's averaging like 3.2 yards per carry.
Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a runner.
No, he's not.
But he'll catch the football.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, if the Steelers if they win this game Sunday,
yeah,
they would effectively take a 2-game lead.
Yeah, for all
in the division.
Yeah.
Would they then vault into being the favorite to win the division?
I would think so. I mean, like you're talking like Cynthia and the mathematicians and DVOA people and all those things. Yeah, I mean, a division loss hurts bad because it also hurts your conference stuff. No, I guess we're talking about division.
Well, the key would be a second division loss for Baltimore.
Yeah, right, exactly. I like the chances of if they get this win, I like the chances of the Steelers going 4-2 in the division.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would think they'd make them the mathematical favorites.
Yeah,
and probably I bet to be the favorite.
The other interesting thing about it is if Buffalo's able to beat Kansas City this weekend, then all of a sudden you're a game out of first place overall in the conference.
Do we want that?
Do you want to be the number 1 seed in the conference? Why not? Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Kansas City's just going to run away from the world.
Right.
Like, is Baltimore rooting for that too? Is Houston rooting for Buffalo to win?
Houston,
I don't know.
Houston's got 4 losses now, so I think
they're probably the 4 almost no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it depends also who do you want to play.
For Baltimore, it doesn't matter because they're effectively right now 4 games behind Kansas City because Kansas City has the tiebreaker on them and they have 3 losses. They can't finish in a tie with Kansas City, win the AFC North, and finish as the number 1 seed. That's what that loss in the opener did to them.
Yeah.
But the Steelers will get an opportunity to hand Kansas City another loss later.
So, yeah, I think you do want Buffalo to win.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. You add another one to the Kansas City loss list, potentially,
Yeah, because right now, Buffalo's 2 losses are to Baltimore and Houston.
So I think we'd all pick Houston, but Houston, Buffalo, Kansas City, where do you least want to play in the playoffs round 2? Because if you end up the 5 and you beat Houston and all the favorites win, then you got to go to 1.
Right.
Which I would think Kansas City's still my last choice.
No, I don't think it's my last choice, but Buffalo's a place I don't want to go play.
I say Buffalo's the close second. I'd rather go to Baltimore. I'd rather go to Houston.
Buffalo struggles stopping the run, though.
Yeah.
Again, there's so much football left to be played here that I don't know, how healthy are they? What's going on?
Of course, right.
Is Cooper, is he playing? Is he not playing? I don't know.
But this is a huge game. If we were just looking from a Bills-Chiefs perspective, hosting the AFC Championship game against that team is a heck of a lot better than going on the road.
Absolutely.
Heck of a lot better.
There's some monster games in the league this week.
It's like Colts-Patriots in the day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to
starting with tonight, you got 7-3 against
huge,
7-2. You've got
there's a lot of division games.
Yeah, you got 7-3 against 7-2 here in Pittsburgh. You got the Buffalo game with Kansas City. I mean, those are 3 massive games in the NFL.
Seattle's playing the Rams. They have a division game.
Aren't they playing San Francisco?
Yes. Okay. That's a huge game in that division too.
Yeah.
Like if Seattle loses that one, they start to get into Rams land of really looking up at the hot teams. And then there was one other game I thought, you mentioned it too, Cincinnati, L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, that's darn near an elimination game for the Bengals.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some
The
monster.
playoff picture could look a lot different on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even Falcons-Broncos.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone can catch Atlanta, though.
I don't know if they can either, but if they lose that one, all of a sudden they're 6-5. On the other side of it,
after the bye.
If the Broncos lose that game, they're 5-6.
I think it means more to the Broncos than Atlanta.
And let's say the Jets beat the Colts, so all of a sudden they're 4-7.
Mm-hmm.
So they're back in it. Or
if I'm Miami, I'm kicking myself. Like if you could have won one of these last two, you could at least had a path.
Yeah.
With Tua back.
Well, they did win one of them.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's not. They're not dead then. I mean, if Cincy loses, Denver loses, and Miami wins, they're back in the hunt.
Yeah.
I guess the Jets conceivably could be.
And the
too,
Dolphins have the Raiders this week. I mean, they should
good
win that
I
game.
bet they win that game. Right?
Should
They're
win
big
that
favorites.
game. Then again, the Raiders beat the Ravens.
Mm-hmm. They're one of the dreadful teams, though.
Yeah, I know people. One last thing here.
Yeah.
You talk about the Mike Tomlin game. You lose these Mike Tomlin games. Here's the thing. Under Tomlin, as an underdog, the Steelers are 58-32-3 as an underdog against the spread.
Against the spread. So they keep the games close at a minimum or win it.
Or win them. They win a lot of those. He has a winning record as an underdog, regardless of where it's played at.
Because some of those are probably 10-point games when you have Doc. They're not all 1.5 or small lines.
They've won their past 5 regular season games outright as an underdog.
Wow.
And they're 18-10 in Tomlin's career outright as a home underdog.
18-10 as a home dog, which is this week, folks.
And they've already won one of these earlier this year when they beat the Jets.
I wonder how
handily.
many of those 28 games were divisional.
That I don't know.
I mean, I know. I'm just guessing. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a pretty decent percentage. I mean, 6 out of 17 games.
I don't know if they. I mean, because most of the time it would almost always be Baltimore.
I'd say almost Baltimore. Well, since he had some good teams.
Yeah, but I don't think they'd be favored here.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the Duck years.
I think you're looking at New England. You're looking at
Kansas City,
San Francisco, Kansas City, teams like that. Because you got to be really good to come to Pittsburgh and be favored. Because they've been favored. This is in Tomlin's career.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've had a lot of good teams.
Yeah,
and they've also had some 8-8s. And the 8-8s, they're winning a lot of these games at home.
I'm sure a lot of them actually, instead of division, the more I think about it, are probably against AFC first place teams from the year before that you get because you were in first place too.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? New England.
Yeah.
It comes to mind a lot. Kansas City recently. Like Kansas City will probably be favored here on Christmas.
I would think so.
Yeah. They're a dog in Buffalo, I think.
The Steelers have been underdogs this season probably about half the time. They were underdogs last week, and they won that game outright. As I said, they've won their past 5 regular season games outright as an underdog.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They were dogs in Atlanta.
I wonder if that's the longest streak in the league.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I bet it's near the top.
It's got to be.
I mean, Vegas knows stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've done well as an underdog, and they're a 3-point underdog. It's not like they're an overwhelming underdog this weekend.
That's the other thing I was going to say, which is as impressive as I bet most of those lines are under 4.
Yeah.
That they were dogs because they've never been terrible.
Right.
And you're in your building.
And you find a way to win more, almost 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. A really high percentage.
So,
if
you're looking at something to give you a little hope this week, that's what we're here for.
There's a lot of stuff for that.
Absolutely. But that's going to do it for our show today. So, for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here, manning the Justin Miller hotline, and I think he's flying the MiGs over there, too.
Got all kinds of stuff going on.
He's got like 7 screens in front of him and a big soundboard. And for Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure our video gets out on YouTube in a timely fashion, I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.